Fingerprint comparison is the process of comparing two fingerprints to see if they are from the same individual. And there are steps that we take in doing this. We compare the known to the unknown. And when we say the known, what we mean by that is that the known is the sample that is from the alleged writer, that we know is from the alleged writer. And they are also called standard. We call them known or standard. So, or we call them exemplar, standard, or known sample. So now there are two type of standard or exemplar: the requested or collected. Requested or collected. The requested sample is the sample that we ask the maker uh, of the fingerprint to make. But on the other hand, the collected sample is the sample that we got when we go to the archive. When we go to the archive to retrieve the one that he has made, if the alleged writer is no more available, probably is dead. For example, if the document on which the questioned fingerprint is a will. So in such kind of a situation, what we demand is collected. We go into the archive, such as the document that he made, maybe letter that he wrote to a bank, or some other, perhaps maybe have some identification document that can use to identify him. We use any fingerprint on them as the collected. But if the person is still alive, we request for his fingerprint to make it on a separate paper, clean separate paper. Now, if you look at your screen, if you look at the screen, we have two fingerprints. These fingerprints they are examples of good sample of good standard. Good standard and a good standard and a good disputed sample. So the first thing that an examiner will do is to check if the sample are of the same group. That is first thing. If they are the same group, that is, if both of them are, for example, war, or ash, or perhaps both of them are loop. If they are not from the same group, there's no way you can compare them. You stop the work from that place and write our report. We write our report that the two fingerprints are not from the same finger, normally, it is usual for thumbprint. For the thumb to be used for fingerprint on documents. But except in some cases which the collector of the fingerprint will write there, when you want to use your fingerprint to sign a document, you use the signer we normally use is or her right thumbprint, except in few cases, and it will be indicated on the document. So, if the alleged maker of the fingerprint is alive, all we need to do is to take all his fingerprints. Perhaps there may be issue that will arise that maybe use different fingers on his palm, on his hand, to make the two fingerprints. So we collect all the fingerprints or the fingerprint on the 10 fingers to to ascertain that the fingerprint is from him or not, is from her or not. So after establishing that the two fingers, the disputed and the disputed, that is the question fingerprint and the original or the standard and the standard are from the same group, then the next thing we do is to know whether they are of good sample. A good sample is a sample that is readable. The disputed must have enough feature that can be read. Enough feature. When I say feature, that is enough uh, minute or enough Gatton points that we can mark as to use to compare to the other sample. So also we look at the standard. We look at the standard to see if it has enough sample, enough detail, enough feature to be compared with the disputed. So having established that both of them are of good quality, that is, they have enough details that we can compare, then we go ahead and to the next step. There are cases where fingerprints are already distorted. That is, the quality has been damaged. It doesn't have enough quality to be kept. Look at your screen. You see a sample, a no sample that is the standard that is good enough to be compared, but the unknown sample has been distorted. So a distorted fingerprint is a fingerprint that has been damaged or that doesn't have enough features. Therefore, the structure is not a good representation. It's not a good representation of the structure of the fingerprint or the alleged maker. If you still look at your screen, we have samples of different distorted fingerprint. The one at the extreme left is messed up. It's like a when a finger is put into an ink. The person want to make the fingerprint, wanted to make it. He or she places his fingerprint or her fingerprint on the paper, and the hand shook. So this is exactly what we are going to get. So the fingerprint is messed up. You can't use it. It's not usable. So because we can't read the features on it. And the second one, the middle one, if you look at it very well, there's a part where there's too much ink, and there's a part where there's no ink at all. Then just a small part of it is readable. So this kind of fingerprint is not a good representation of the fingerprint of the one who made it. So that is not good enough. And the third one, there was too much ink. Even after enhancement, we may not still be able to use it. So none of them is good. All of them are distorted. They are bad quality. They are not of good quality. Therefore, we cannot use any of them. Now, if you look at your screen, you see still on the quality assessment. So now, the fingerprint on the left hand side is of the good quality, but the one at the right hand side is not of good quality. And when we try to mark the Gatton point on them, you can see that the point that we're able to mark, they are not the same. Despite the fact that the two fingerprints are from the same person, but the one at the left hand side is of very poor quality, while the other one is of good quality. So in this kind of situation, it will only lead to confusion. It will confuse it will lead to a very bad result. The result will not be a result that can represent a good work. These are the challenges of distorted fingerprint. Um, Effect of distortion of fingerprint examination is that number one, there's going to be challenge in comparison. There's going to be challenge in comparison. For example, it will be so difficult for the examiner to do because there are some features that will not be present, and also there are going to be um, some features that appear, like you see ridges, features like ridges, some features that look like ridges and they are not ridges. In fact, there are some features that are not even supposed to be there, but the poor ink or perhaps the machine that was used to make the photocopy has introduced into it. They are not part of the feature, but they are there. So these are some of the challenges that you get in when you are comparing a distorted fingerprint to that of a good quality. Another challenge that you may encounter is that of increased error rate. Increased error rate, that is, even though if you try to enhance a distorted fingerprint and you try to work on it, the error rate will be so high that the results will not be good at all. The error rate will be so high, and if you still go ahead and use it, opposing examiner from the opposing lawyer will come and point it out to the judge, to the court, that what you have used is not of good quality, and therefore the error rate will be high, and that one will make the court to throw your work out of the court. And thirdly, it is going to impact on the minute features. Just as I said, the minute, some of them will not be there again, and some of them may be there, but their position has been changed because the fingerprint is distorted. The position has been changed, and mind you, when we mark two fingerprints, after marking two fingerprint, the next is to match. When we want to match, we look at this distance of each feature to one another. So this distance, the distance between these features matters a lot. But a distorted fingerprint will not have a representation. The distance will not be a representation of the actual fingerprint because it has been distorted. And that one will take me to a law that says only the lights can be compared. Only the lights can be compared. This law emphasizes on the necessity of providing like sample and specimens for comparison. That is, when you want to compare two samples, especially of any sample of any in any field of forensic, whether fingerprint, whether handwritten, or any other field, the samples that you want to compare must be of like, they may be like samples. Like sample in the sense that they are samples that can be compared, that are comparable. You can't compare war to loop. They are not of the same group, therefore you can't compare the two. Then another thing is that you can't compare a fingerprint that is of good quality to the one that is of a very bad quality. So if both of them are not, if the samples are not of the, if they cannot be compared, then there's no need to go further in the comparison. This, you look at your screen, these are the samples of loops, wars, and ashes. You can see the feature that they have. There's nothing, you can't compare them, can't compare loop to war or war to ashes. So you have to compare ashes to ashes or war to war. If you have two samples, you have a standard that is loop, and the disputed is war or arch, then there's no need to go further in this comparison step. unless you have a sample, a disputed sample with on this of the same group with that of the standard. It is then you can go ahead. So the lights must be compared. This one on the screen, they are of good quality. The known and the unknown, that is the standard, the exemplar, and the unknown. Both of them are of good quality, so you can go ahead and do the comparison. Yes, to remind you again, minute, adequation of minute is very important. Your ability to identify the features on the fingerprint is very key to uh, fingerprint examination. So you must be able to identify the features, features like a ridge ending, like a bifurcation or trifurcation, like a ridge crossing, spur or hook, like double bifurcation. If you have it, if you have core, delta, scar, or short ridges, all these things are they are features that you must be able to identify. We identify them and mark them on the disputed and that of the on the standard before we can go ahead and do our examination, our matching. While we do the matching, there are some software we can use. We can the two samples, the standard and the disputed, may be scanned into the system. That's the easiest way. You scan into the system, and you may use a software like a Photoshop. The one you have for your screen is scanned and imported. They are scanned and imported into a Photoshop software. So having done that, you begin to use the two mark. I mean the from the two balls you take this tool that is meant for marking to make color. You use different color to mark different features on it. You mark bifurcation everywhere you are where you see features like bifurcation or regending or any feature. You mark them on the standard. You go to the disputed, you mark them too on it, and you see whether they are of the same, whether the numbers are the same and they are in the same distance, the same position. Look at your screen. You can see that what you have here, the standard at the right hand side and the disputed on the left hand side, they are marked. And if you look at the markings closely, you can see that they are from the same source. They are the same source. So, and when you after finishing the marking, you go to the bottom side of the page. You try to decode those things that you have marked by writing what you have used the colors to indicate. For example, if the yellow markings are meant for bifurcation, you write yellow bifurcation, green regendings, for example, and so on and so forth, so that whosoever that read it may understand what you have done there, your analysis, without even calling you to come and explain. To remind us again, there are levels of fingerprint information. There are levels of fingerprint information. So it is good if you're able to go through all the levels before we arrive at a definite conclusion. And the first level is that of general pattern. That is, the first thing you consider is whether the patterns are of the same type. Are they of the same type? Do you have war or do you have a ash or you have a we have loop. Or if they are not of the same type, you reject. If they are of the same type, then you go ahead, you go further to consider level 2. And the level 2, what we do in level 2 is to consider all the minutiae. The minutiae is what we call Garton points. So you look at this minutiae, that is the features on the print, on the fingerprint, then you begin to mark them one after the other, one after the other. After you might have completed the the markings of the minutiae, then you go to the next level. The next level is that of ridge detail. The ridge detail, every ridge has a a specific feature. Some of them, they have a edge that is peculiar to them. The edge of the ridge will be always peculiar to them. And there are some of the ridges that are wrinkled in nature. By the time use your system, you scan them to your system and enlarge them, you can see all these features. Or by the time you use a magnifying lens or microscope to look at it, you can see them better. Then on the ridge, you have the pore. The pore are they are the holes, the tiny holes on the ridges. How these pores, how they position themselves, and are unique to every print. They are unique to every print. On some print they are very close, while on some print they are very far apart. And apart from that one, there are some the ridge. There are some ridge that might have marks of scar. So when you see scar on ridges, is that one is on third level. The ridge characteristics will show, or the ridge detail will show. I mean, it will show how the ridge is how the ridge is. So that is level 3. So we have level 1, which is general pattern. We have level 2, which is minutiae, and the level 3, which is the ridge detail. And now the next step is evaluation. After you might have marked the disputed and the standard, the next thing is to evaluate. And when you evaluate, what you do in evaluation, you look at the two and see whether these two are from the same source or they are not from the same source from your analysis, from the markings that you have made. Now, for the markings that you have made, you have to take your conclusion. The first conclusion that you may have is that of whether they are is either whether maybe whether they are of the same source. If you have marked the two of them and the two, they have 65%, at least 65% of similarity, then what you will arrive at is that they are from the same source. That is identification. You're able to identify that this fingerprint is made by the alleged maker or alleged signer, or this fingerprint is made by the same person that made that of the standard. Therefore, they are from the same fingers. They are from the same finger of the same person. They are from the same finger of the same person. If you, after the marking, and you match the two and discover that they are not from the same source, they are not of the that they don't have enough similarity to say they are from the same person, or they have more differences. They have more differences to indicate that they are from different fingers. Then what you have there is exclusion. So that means they are not from the same person. Then the third conclusion that we may have is when the fingerprint, when the two fingerprints are not comparable. For example, if one is distorted and the other one is still good, or whether the standard is distorted and the disputed is good, or disputed is good, distorted and the standard is good. Though that in that kind of situation, what we are going to have is inconclusive, because they cannot be used. They cannot be used. Either of them cannot be used to compare to the other one because the quality is bad. Or the a fingerprint, one of them has been torn. Maybe the document where you have the fingerprint has been torn, and what you have is too small. The feature that remain is too small, or perhaps something like water has splashed on it and destroy part of it, or ink, or some other things that will not allow it to be seen very well. So in that kind of situation, you are going to have inconclusive. It is ethical after you might have finished your work as an examiner to allow another examiner to verify your work, to look at the work and say what you have done there is perfectly okay. So that is the standard, that is the ethical. It is ethical to allow another examiner to check the work before you finally write your report. At times, we have automated fingerprint identification system known as AFIS. This automated fingerprint identification system can be used to, there's a feature on it that can be used to compare to fingerprint, apart from storing database of fingerprints. So the feature will be used to upload these to the standard and the disputed into the system and use the two to compare. In AFIS, what will happen is that the AFIS will give a list of fingerprints that matches the disputed, but it is still an examiner that will do the verification. Also, we have fingerprint comparison software. They are not AFIS, but they are comparison software. Or what they do basically is that they allow the two fingerprints to be to be scanned and sent to the system. Both of them be sent into the system, uploaded into the software, and they will be compared. If either of them is not clear enough, it can be enhanced. Sorry, the software can be used to enhance it. That if it is enhanceable, can be used to enhance either of them or both of them before they are compared. And there are a lot of them. There are many of them that you can lay hand on. So if you have any of this, they can be used. But human being will still assist it. A question document examiner will still, or a fingerprint expert will still assist to do the work. So this is where we are going to stop today. See you in the next class.